story tonight, the TRAI has hit out at the Department of Telecom while standing pat on its recommendations. TRAI has dubbed the DOT's observations on frequency arrangement baffling and mistaken. Priya takes us through exactly what the regulator has said.
Well, in a strongly worded response, TRAI has not just stuck to its recommendation but also suggested that the Department of Telecom rereads the recommendation. Now let's begin with the controversial spectrum usage charge issue. TRAI has said that DOT's comments on SUC are influenced by selective reading. TRAI says, and I quote, DOT stand that it faces no problem while administering the present SUC regime is only to be expected. They designed the SUC system and would obviously maintain there is nothing difficult about it. Now this misses the point altogether. It glosses over various defects or inadequacies clearly brought out in the recommendations. Now the real issue is this: has the DOT devised a way to overcome the inherent difficulties of the extant SUC regime? The ease of administering a flawed system surely cannot be a justification for continuing the flawed system. End of quote. TRAI's defense is that it is not looking at the immediate issues while making recommendation, and that DOT's observation on frequency rearrangement is baffling and mistaken. Also on the extended GSM, TRAI wants the government to re-examine the feasibility before reaching, and I quote, hasty conclusion. The 65-page response of TRAI shows that the authority is in no mood to relook at its recommendations for the 2G auction, leaving the ball now in DOT's court. Back to you.
Joining us on the phone line, Rajan Mathews, Director General of the COAI, Cellular Operators Association of India. Rajan, what do you make of it? Some fairly strong words coming in there saying selective reading, and that perhaps the DOT should go back and reread the document. What do you make of this argument coming in from the TRAI?
I think absolutely justified, because all along, if you look at the recommendations that were made, it was done in a very open, rigorous, analytical approach where they considered all of the puts and takes. And if you look at the response, the industry reacted pretty favorably. Investors reacted pretty favorably. There was a general euphoria that this perhaps was the way forward. And so when we saw the response from DOT, we were all a bit disappointed. So we're all very pleased that TRAI has stuck to its guns and that it has reiterated its recommendations. We're looking forward now for an expeditious way forward and to get the auction process underway.
Rajan, they specifically keep mentioning the entire SUC issue, talking about how really DOT's observations on the spectrum pricing formula are puzzling, and that how it should perhaps reread its recommendations on spectrum pricing. What exactly in those recommendations could be so confusing for the DOT?
I wish I could decipher what the anomalies are that the DOT is seeing. Well, if you look historically at this whole process, the SUC charge was intended to be operative at a time when there was no immediate auction for the spectrum. And so when we went to a revenue share process and additional spectrum was given on a subscriber count basis, the SUC was brought in to bring in a sort of additional revenue for the additional spectrum that was being granted. Now that whole regime has passed, and so therefore to continue to hold that old SUC regime, which makes sense under a revenue share methodology, is still operative when we are paying the auction market price, is completely anomalous. And so we absolutely support the TRAI approach, which says, let's get to a level playing field where there is one SUC charge for all, because we're going to a unified licensing regime where spectrum and licenses are decoupled. So it makes all the sense in the world to go to a unified SUC charge.
Absolutely. Rajan, of course, they've also reiterated that no further CDMA or 800 megahertz band spectrum should be auctioned until the feasibility of that extended EGSM is explored in India. And that's, of course, the other talking point there, saying that the DOT should not summarily reject the recommendations of EGSM adoption before they've actually completely looked at it in detail. Just run us through once again the advantages to this.
First of all, the two things that are of immediate importance. One is that the TRAI said that there is not going to be any spectrum that is going to be reserved for the 900 megahertz spectrum users. And so by parallel reasoning, they said there's no additional spectrum going to be reserved for the 800 megahertz spectrum. The TRAI further reasoned that there has not been a whole lot of demand and the market demand for the 800. In fact, the CDMA business is continuously on the decline. The usage is half that of the GSMA subscribers. And so therefore, we had recommended and the TRAI has decided that the best way to get value to the exchequer and to the consumer is to take this 800 megahertz spectrum, the top part of it, which globally is really part of the GSMA spectrum. It's only an anomaly in India that that portion was, in effect, clubbed together with CDMA. So as we go to a globally harmonized spectrum plan, it makes sense to continue to look at that upper band of 800 as part of the GSM spectrum, and there is plenty of demand for that, and so it's helpful for the exchequer, it's helpful for the consumer, it's helpful for the operator, and it gives us the added spectrum that is absolutely essential for rolling out broadband in this country.
Absolutely, Rajan, some very important points there. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. That completely puts it into context, and the TRAI also saying once again that we're far behind the developments that we've seen on the global stage when it comes to the telecom industry, and it's really a case of getting our act together now or never. All right, the CBI has registered 8 new preliminary inquiries in the Neera Radia tape case. Mehek is joining